Hi, everybody. Welcome. Today, of course, I'm listening to more about this Brian Kohlberger voice versus Dave, the phone call that came into T-Rev. So listen up.
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
Dave. Hey, what's up, man? Is this T-Rev?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Not
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
much, man. I found you today. I watched your live
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
earlier this afternoon and been watching.
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
This one, and
Quick,
I
go.
the
You're
thing
messing up
that
the video.
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be
Jesus.
able to
Sit
give me a
down.
haircut tomorrow by any chance?
strikes
Callie,
me
sit.
kind of weird about all this is that I
Crazy.
live in a college
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
town, and I've worked with
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
probably at least 10 Sigma Chi members.
Hi, my name is
I
Brian.
remember this
Would you
phone
be able
call. I
to
was listening.
Give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
And the one thing that every
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
single one of them I feel like has asked me is,
Hi, my name is Brian.
And
Would you
who
be able to
asks
give
these
me a
sort of
haircut tomorrow by
things?
any chance?
Listen,
if you were going to kill somebody, how would you get away with it?
if you're going to
Hi, my
kill
name is
somebody,
Brian.
how would
Would
you
you be
get
able
away
to
with it?
give me a
I've never
haircut
heard
tomorrow by any
anybody
chance?
ask that sort of question. And he's saying that I guess he used to work as
Hi,
a
my name is
bartender
Brian.
and that
Would you
these
be able to give me a haircut
Sigma
tomorrow by
Chi
any
or
chance?
Chi would come in and ask that.
Hey, what's up, man?
It's
Is this
crazy.
T-Rev?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Not
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
much, man. I found you today. I watched your live
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
earlier this afternoon and been watching.
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
This one, and the thing that
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
strikes me kind of weird about all this is that I live in a college
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
town, and I've worked with
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
probably at least 10 Sigma Chi members.
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut
I
tomorrow by
can't
any chance?
tell if
And
it's the same or not.
the one thing that every
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
single one of them I feel like has asked me is,
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
if you were going to kill somebody, how would you get away with it?
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a
What?
haircut tomorrow by any chance?
Huh? I don't know. I mean, first of all, I almost don't feel like they're the same voice, but there's that pause. That pause that strikes me. Hold on.
I watched your live.
Hi, my name is
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Hold on.
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by
Hear that pause? Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow? Okay, listen to the pauses when this other Dave character calls.
any chance?
Much, man. I found you today. I watched your live
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
Two.
this afternoon and been watching.
Hi, my
You hear that? Been watching. My name is Brian. Will you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow? That really, I think, is more about like cognition.
My name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut?
Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow? That pause. The pause. Callie, baby, go sit down. Go sit down. Go sit down, boo-boo.
Tomorrow by any chance?
This one, and the thing that
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
That strikes me.
See how these that strikes me? He's got a lot of pauses. I think when he's calling for the haircut appointment, he already knows what he's gonna say, and he's not tired because he had murdered anybody, allegedly. But I do see where the similarities could be. But I'm not a voice expert.
Kind of weird about all this is that I live in a college.
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
You see that pause? It's almost the same type of pause, but how often do people pause like that?
Town, and I've worked with.
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
Probably at least 10 Sigma Chi members.
There's a rhythm there. At least 10 Sigma Chi members. Seesawy, but...
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
And, you know, the one thing that every
Hi, my name is Brian. Would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
single one of them I feel like has asked me is...
Hi, my name is Brian.
I feel like has asked me is... I feel like that I remember asking me is what he should
Brian,
have said.
would you be able to give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
If you were going to kill somebody, how would you get away with it?
Hi,
Who asked that? I've never heard anyone ask that. If you're gonna kill anyone, how would you get
my name
away
is
with
Brian.
it?
Would you be able to
Jesus Christ.
give me a haircut tomorrow by any chance?
Jeez. It's a lot. It's a lot. These murders of of Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan in Moscow, Idaho. It's a lot. And to think that somebody would do such a thing, and there's been so much effort from so many different people to try and... Let's see what else is being played regarding this. So much effort from so many people to try and locate him before they found a suspect, and now to just review all of it and make sense of it all.
100%. That affidavit is pretty impressive. Just like what Mr. Gonzalez was saying, they really do have him sort of pinned to the wall here. The DNA obviously is important. However, what's most important really is the white Hyundai Elantra, because.
So do you guys agree with that the Elantra is actually even more it's more
critical
than the DNA? Do you guys agree with that?
That's
So she
because
goes
the
on to
DNA
say-
is that's
what
because the
puts
DNA
actually right-
that's because the DNA has only been found on the sheath. What if they come back and find the DNA under their fingernails? What if they come back and find, they've tested the plumbing some way and have the blood of those of Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, Xana, any of their DNA with some of his skin cells that they found in the plumbing? Then it's going to be like, huh? What? How did that happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happened. It happened because he murdered him. That's how it would have happened.
Brian Koberger at the scene, and that's how they were able to really figure out who that was, because when they first ran the DNA that was on that knife sheath, no one was in the system. It was really traced back to someone who was the person's father, which was his dad in Pennsylvania. And so really by looking at that video of the Hyundai Elantra and
So what's quite an interesting argument she's making is they haven't actually, how can I put this? They haven't actually linked Koberger to the scene through his DNA,
person.
because
They haven't linked his person
they found
to the
there
murder.
to,
They've
his
only
father.
linked
Now,
his
I hate to beg to
physical
differ, but
belongings.
as far as I know, I read somewhere that they have actually taken his DNA, and they have found a match to his DNA. I can't remember where I read it, but I read that they
A match to
had
what?
taken a
The
DNA
sheath?
of him.
The fingerprint on the
So, unless
sheath?
that was
Or critical
a
DNA
remote
under their
mistake.
fingernails? Under the victim's
But
fingernails.
if you take that whole thing away and you say, take her argument on its own merits, and you say the Elantra is enough to put him at the scene, I don't know if I agree with that, and I'll tell you why. I think it's a strong argument. I think it's a good argument, but in the Caitlin Armstrong case, you had exactly the same situation. You had and even more so, you had a very idiosyncratic vehicle, a Jeep Grand Cherokee, I think black, and it had a bicycle rack on it. And the defense lawyers said,
I believe they're going to find the
"Can you
victim's
see
blood in
who's
the
driving that
Elantra.
vehicle?"
They're going to
That
find
was his first argument.
his
The second
DNA
argument was,
under
"Can
their
you see the license
fingernails.
plate of that vehicle?" So what he's
They're going to
basically
find
saying
his
is,
blood mixed with their blood,
CCTV of a
or
particular
his cells
vehicle,
and their blood in the plumbing.
doesn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a particular person was in that vehicle, driving that vehicle at the scene. It's circumstantial, but it's also not very. Well, anyway, put it this way: is it beyond a reasonable doubt? Now, on the one hand, you might say, of course it is. Who else is driving that vehicle? But that's where you open that door.
Let's see what New Nation has.
We are
News
tracking
Nation
new
says.
revelations as well about the Idaho murder suspect, Brian Kohberger, not expected back in court again until late June. Right now, he's being held without bail. We have now learned that Kohberger had posted in an online forum discussing his struggles with mental health and in messages he sent to friends obtained by the New York Times. As a teenager, he allegedly described suicidal thoughts, saying he felt, quote, no emotion and little remorse. I want to bring in Tracy Walder, former CIA officer and FBI special agent. Tracy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Natasha.
We are seeing reports of these old posts where he is having suicidal thoughts. He's observing his life as if he's in a video game, that he felt like, quote, an organic sack of meat with no self-worth. He could, quote, do whatever he wanted with little remorse. In these recent revelations, what is standing out to you?
Well, I think really what's standing out is this is clearly someone who was struggling, with their mental health, and these
Struggling with mental health? Doesn't it go beyond mental health? He was like struggling with mental collapse. Mental, I don't know. Mental, like disintegration, mental, I don't know, but mental health is associated, would think mental health is associated with someone somewhere on the spectrum with wanting to get better, seeking help, doing service, knowing that doing right by others will help you feel better about yourself. This was something, this person was, he's a monster.
kind of online musings, I have to wonder if they were almost sort of a cry for help. I'm not sure that he had conversations with his family. However, him kind of putting it out there in the internet ether is clearly a cry for help. I think we have to be careful. Just because someone is struggling, with mental health.
Was it a cry for help, or was it him looking for lower companions? Someone to kind of act out this stuff with?
Suicidal, suffering from visual snow doesn't necessarily, make them a murderer. So I think the prosecution is going to have to be a little careful with how they use this information.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's also information about some past drug use. Is that right?
From what I'm seeing, yes, a little bit of past drug use. And there's questions as to whether or not that drug use, did it lead to the visual snow, or was he doing these drugs to kind of alleviate the visual snow? So it's hard to know what role sort of drugs played into his system, or if he was even under the influence when he committed these murders.
And to be clear, Koberger did not use his actual name in this chat forum. His birthday matches, as does the username matching an old email of his. But in this chat forum, he also may be talking about having visual snow syndrome, which you're alluding to. Can you tell us more about this, and is it potentially significant to this case at all?
Yeah, so I found that to be very interesting. Visual snow is exceedingly rare. It's basically, constantly.
Of course, it's exceedingly rare. He's special. He needs to feel special. He wants people to treat him special. He allegedly murders all of these people, and now he wants everyone to treat him special for that. He's a clown. He is a clown. Look at him. He's a clown. Who goes to school and spends all that money on a associate, a bachelor's, and a master's, and gets into a doctorate program? This fool couldn't even find himself out of a wet paper bag. Look at him. Look at him. He's a clown.
Seeing the world in fuzz, really, or haze, constantly seeing bright lights flashing. All of those things can lead to migraines. All of those things can lead to lack of sleep, and all of those things can sometimes be a precursor to mental illness. So it's hard to know if he was actually diagnosed with that, or if that was something that he was sort of mulling whether or not he was dealing with the repercussions.
He was a heroin addict.
To drug use as well.
And we know some of our
He was
viewers
a heroin addict.
hearing about the
No different than the
visual
people
snow
on
component.
Skid Row. He
We're
was a
thinking
heroin.
about
He
the
is a
affidavit,
heroin. He's an
that
addict.
where the surviving roommate talks about seeing him in that hallway, and obviously that roommate
Spiritually
was left alive.
bankrupt.
In your investigator's mind, immediately does it go to that as well? Potentially, did visual snow play into that moment and interaction?
Of course,
where
he
maybe
had
did
no
not
emotion
see
and little
that
remorse.
surviving
He
roommate.
was spiritually bankrupt.
So weirdly, visual snow isn't what came to my mind. Really, what came to my mind when I thought of.
Where's Nancy Grace? She'll lay him out. All of this nonsense. He's a murderer. He's a murdering clown. Hold on, I have something for you to catch you up. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Maybe it's not that one. Is it under drip drop? Let me see. Hold on. Circus. Hold on. You have to get away from the thing, Callie, because you just keep making it turn off. Go sit down somewhere. You're gonna drive me crazy. Where is it? Hold on, y'all. I don't want to play ball. Go play ball with Steven. Go play ball with Steven. Ow! Don't bite me. My finger is not your ball. Hold on. Oh, wait, here it is. Hold on. Here we go. This will help sum the whole thing up.
In this video regarding the Moscow, Idaho case, we're going to discuss new information, new revelations, new findings, and updates. We're going to talk about the DoorDash order. I think that's super important. We're going to look at a new visual of the house that's been created. We're going to talk about Brian Kohberger's sister. She starred in a horror movie. Was she recently at the crime scene? We're going to discuss visual snow. Brian Kohberger allegedly had visual impairment. There's some other tidbits of info, and there's a lot to discuss in this case. Let's jump right into it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Crime Circus. My name is Drip Drop, and I'm your host as always.
Drip Drop
For those
is
of you that aren't
awesome.
familiar, 4 college students were slain in Moscow, Idaho, just outside of the Idaho campus. I've previously released multiple videos on Brian Kohberger. If you want to learn more about this case, make sure you check out my previous releases. I have an entire playlist for this case. A very brief disclaimer. All words, names, and everything spoken in this video is presumed speculation, guessing, theorizing, and non-factual. Brian Kohberger is presumed innocent, however the police arrested him because they believe he's guilty, and the state attorney is following through with the charges because they believe he's guilty too. What do you think? Leave me a comment down below. We're just gonna jump right into this video and start it with a boom. Let's check this out.
In the beginning, most of us believed the 2 surviving roommates, Bethany and Dylan, were sleeping on the first floor. Since then,
You have to move.
along with Xana and Ethan, located here. Kaylee and Madison were located here on the 3rd floor. The dog was located on the 3rd floor, and the room by itself. Let's move around and see through the walls, into the kitchen, to the back slider, and take a look at the time frames. At 4:04 a.m., the suspect can be seen trying to park his car. At 4:09, approximately 5 minutes later, he enters the house through the back slider. At 4:18, he leaves the house after committing the crimes. At 4:20, he's caught on camera driving away at a high rate of speed. All of this only took 9 minutes. Let's watch what that looks like. The suspect enters through the back sliding door. He pauses at the stairs to look around to make sure no one's up. He then turns and goes upstairs. The first bedroom he stops at and opens the door, he sees no one there. He continues to the next bedroom. Here we know what happens. Downstairs, Dylan is sleeping. The noise from upstairs wakes her up. She thinks it's Kaylee playing with her dog. She gets up and goes to the door and looks out. She sees nothing there. The suspect then continues down the stairs about 3 minutes later. He then heads to Xana's room. Outside there's a security camera picking up some whimpering, cries, and a thud at 4:17. We've learned that Xana was found on the floor, which might explain the thud. Dylan again hears something and looks outside her door. She sees the suspect. He walks right past her and leaves.
Well, what'd you think of that animation? That gives you a clearer idea of what the house layout looked like on King Road, as well as the perpetrator's movements within the house and the time frame required to commit this awful crime. Brian Kohberger's car was first spotted in the area on somebody's surveillance camera at about 3:30 a.m. DoorDash arrived at about 4 a.m. Brian's car was also seen again at about 4:04 a.m. and he entered the house moments later. Which leads us to the DoorDash delivery. What are the odds that a DoorDash driver shows up at 4 o'clock? As Brian has already been circling the house since 3:30. And then Brian's car is seen within minutes of the DoorDash driver leaving, and then he commits the crime minutes later. I don't believe Xana ordered DoorDash. A Jack-in-the-Box bag was found on the counter. For those of you that aren't familiar, that's a fast food restaurant located in Pullman, Washington, and it's located right next to Brian's apartments. My theory is Brian used a throwaway phone as well as a prepaid Visa or gift card to place an anonymous DoorDash delivery to the 1122 King Road house. I really don't see how it could be any sort of coincidence. There's a reason Brian showed up to the house early. There's a reason his car was seen doing circles around the house. There's a reason his car was seen going back and forth in front of the house. And he drove behind the house, and behind the house there's this road that has a good view of the back of the house and the front of the house. Check out this image right here. This gives you a slight idea of what Brian may have seen while he was parked up on this road behind King Road. Brian views himself as a criminal mastermind. He had studied killers for years. He studied their ways. He thought this would be the perfect crime, and the DoorDash driver would be an easy fall guy to throw off the investigation. As I've told you in my previously released videos, this seems to be exactly how Brian operated. I believe he was on Facebook, Reddit, and YouTube misdirecting the investigation. So it would make sense that before he committed this crime, he wanted to throw misdirection into the mix. In Brian's eyes, the DoorDash driver would be the prime suspect. Because if a DoorDash driver shows up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then 4 people end up passed away forever, seems like the DoorDash guy would be the prime suspect. It also seems highly unlikely that Brian would get so lucky to randomly have a DoorDash driver show up as he's awaiting behind the house and he decides to enter the house moments later. Also, theorizing about the DoorDash delivery. The Jack-in-the-Box bag had Xana's name on it. That was found on the kitchen counter. If Xana had ordered food, it was because she was hungry, and if she was hungry, she would have brought that bag into her bedroom with Ethan, and she would have enjoyed her meal in her bedroom. However, the bag was found on the counter along with the drink that came with the bag. So apparently Xana didn't know anything about that order. I think that was an anonymous early morning delivery that confused the occupants of the house, and that's when Dylan heard, "Somebody's here." In a state of confusion, the food was accepted, nobody knew who ordered it, and it was placed on the counter. And Xana went back to her bedroom with Ethan. Only minutes later is when Brian entered the household. Brian obviously entered this house knowing the occupants were awake. When we first heard about this case, we were told everybody was attacked in their sleep, but that's just not the case here. On November 13th, Brian was a predator, and these victims were his prey. I don't believe Xana placed that DoorDash order. Brian placed the DoorDash order to confuse detectives and all of us online sleuths. He thought he was so smart, but he wasn't smart enough to not leave a sheath with his DNA on it, and he wasn't smart enough to not drive his own vehicle to the crime scene. Brian wasn't as smart as he thought he was. Moving on, we're going to very briefly discuss Brian Kohberger's sister. In 2011, she starred in a horror movie. Recently, a woman was seen at 1122 King Road, the crime scene. This woman appears to look exactly like Brian Kohberger's sister. I don't know if it is one way or the other, but it's being discussed. Let's check out these side-by-side comparisons. As you can see here, we are looking at a known picture of Brian Kohberger's sister, as well as somebody that was recently at the crime scene house. Is one of these women simply Brian's attorney's assistant who happens to look exactly like his own sister? If so, I guess that would mean there's another doppelganger in this case. Everybody appears to look the same. I've previously told you about my own doppelganger story, and in return, many of you told me about your doppelganger stories. To me, this is just weird if everybody looks so similar. I don't understand it. It's confusing. And what is with that camcorder she was holding? That thing looks like it's from the 90s or early 2000s. I'm pretty sure any modern cell phone could do the job just as good, but what do I know? I'm just a YouTuber. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that that's Brian's sister at the crime scene? If so, this might be the first of its kind. How weird, how creepy. But maybe she's just trying to get her brother out of prison. I don't know. I've recently obtained some internet posts from Brian from when he was 17 and 18 years old on a forum. Apparently he suffers from something known as visual snow. I don't know if this is reality or just something in Brian's mind. However, visual snow is apparently some type of visual impairment that looks something like this. This is what he had to say for himself online. I have just accepted my visual snow finally. I don't even feel the need to stay away from the forum. It doesn't scare me anymore. Anyone else come to terms? I feel like coming to terms could be a bad thing though. In a prior post he says, I went crazy on Topamax. So he has a history of various pharmaceuticals. He's tried various diets. He's talked about how he feels nothing. He's talked about...
Isn't Topamax, what is Topamax? I feel like it's like... Topamax. Screw loose brain. Screw loose brain.
About how great his dad is, but how mean he is to his dad. He's talked about how he feels like he's some type of character in a video game, and he just feels nothing. As a young man, he spiraled out of control on the internet. Some people have speculated that visual snow is why he didn't see Dylan. I disagree with that because visual snow didn't appear to stop him from finding the other 4 victims, waiting for the DoorDash driver, making his way to and from and all over Washington and Idaho and all the way back to Pennsylvania, as well as being a grade A student in all of his college classes. So even if he did have visual snow, it didn't seem to stop him from doing any of the things that he wanted to do in life. It didn't stop him from purchasing a knife, driving around at all hours of the night, putting 15,000 miles on his car in just under half a year. He seemed to be doing an awful lot of driving for somebody that's visually impaired and not getting into any accidents. So me personally, I'm not buying it. I think it might have been psychological with Brian Koberger.
Right.
So that pretty much sums up what I wanted
Screw
to say in this
loose
video. I just
brain.
wanted to keep it short and sweet and present you as much information as possible in a short amount of time because your time is super valuable and I appreciate you. If you want to see longer videos on this case, check out my last 3 videos. And if you want me to continue this investigation, I will. And if you want me to investigate other crimes in other places, I will. But I'm also going to keep presenting you interrogation videos as well. For those of you that are new to this channel and aren't familiar, I have a second Crime Circus channel. It's called Crime Circus Cult. I'm going to leave a link down below, and I'd appreciate if you come check out that channel. On that channel, body cams, interrogations, and 911 calls.
This guy's name is Drip Drop. He's awesome. He has a way with words, or his writers do, but every word is carefully chosen, and it's his whole everything is just provided in a way to kind of catch you up and give you, you know, the whole story, kind of like the New York Times used to be. Anyway, that's all I have to share for tonight. I'm still really obsessed with this, with Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie, and I pray for peace for their family. And it's just been a very, very sad situation. And I seek justice for them. And if Brian Koberger